We got Jews in the house?
We are in control now.
Bring Osama bin Laden to the gates of hell.
سبحان فالق الإصباح.
Yes, that's right, infidels. Rise and praise your Illuminati ritual sacrifices. And we'll break it all down for your Super Bowl Swifty Spectacular. Ice Spice twice as nice when the devil's in your life. But I'll slap the devil in his face and send him back to hell and do the same to his pathetic mother. Here on the Monday Locker Room with the real bad guy, Hacker Hobby. YOLO. What is good? What is good? What is good? All my master masons out there, 33 1/3, putting up all your fucking Illuminati symbolism and nobody doing anything about it. But we're about to do it, whether it's Mahafamet or whoever, Kelsey screaming. We're going to cover it here today on the Monday Locker Room, channelattitude.com. Hopefully R to the B to the V shows up. I know he was hanging out last night, but he was up early this morning. So hopefully I got a co-host. If not, I just brought up some headlines, man. But no worries, because the HMG Bearcats are all filling up the chat room this morning, wanting to hear the breakdown, I'm sure, man. I didn't do anything too crazy yesterday. It was a nice reprieve because the night before we were in St. Johnsville for Immortal Combat 5. Finish him. Oh yeah, finish me too, pal, while you're at it. Make sure you sign this NDA. Yeah, a great show with Cowboy James Storm and Ricardo Rodriguez as the two WWE alumni. Really good pacing, and one of those crowds that's easy to work for there, and kind of starved for entertainment in the back hills of St. Johnsville, the booming metropolis. So it was a good time, good energy, and yeah, man, good Saturday night to get back to wrestling before Sunday, feeding your face. And I didn't go too hog wild, I don't think, on eating too shitty yesterday, so I don't feel real bad about myself. But it is a day for gluttony, I guess, to break some of those New Year's resolutions. If you've been working hard, Super Bowl's a nice, hey, I'm gonna feed my face and then get back to it. So commercials, nothing really standing out that was that incredible. I know a lot of people watch it, and a lot of people, you know, for the halftime show, and then obviously what they've done to increase ratings by bringing in women and teenage girls into their Sony owned you know, Pfizer and Sony combining to just rule the world, really, with priest class Illuminati. So there'll be plenty of talk to that tomorrow. I'm sure I'll talk about it in just a minute now, because everyone wants to hear what the conspiracy horseman take is on it. So but yeah, man, it smells like a work and you're a wrestler, chances are it is, and you're looking for it. And there was plenty of that in the fourth quarter, in the second quarter too, last night, where Mahomes is just getting flushed out of the pocket for no reason, and there's guys with better options than the dudes he's throwing it to, and there's just so many things that have come out that are old footage from Bubba Smith saying, you know, games were fixed, and it was the quarterback that was in on it during his time. And if you don't know who Bubba Smith is, go back and look it up. Hightower from Police Academy. To NBA refs fixing things, and, you know, just the script has become a running joke. But as a pro wrestler, you absolutely see it. You see what's going on, and you see everybody there and around that's surrounding the game, and you're like, these are the people who our studio properties bought and paid for, you know. And of course, under the all-seeing NBC, CBS, whatever Illuminati logo you want with an eyeball in it, you know, is gonna perpetuate that priest class that they own, however much of their sole contract or the reason that they're even relevant in a name, because you know, sex appeal Taylor Swift wise isn't anything. It looks like a perpetual 14-year-old, which is what the Biden administration, I think that's their cutoff line. They like to sniff that and lower. So it makes perfect sense there of what they're doing to indoctrinate, and then just garbage trash like an Ice Spice with zero talent whatsoever, who's nothing more than a glorified porn star that looks like Little Orphan Annie. Oh, that's interesting. Hey, an orphan sex doll to put out there. That doesn't fall right into their Epstein Island plans of who they want to push. Just worthless, a worthless, not even artist really, right? Just created to take down African Americans to nothing more than a prostitution level, and then to have their stuff out there where all you see is her bending over, showing softcore porn. There is no artistry. There's nothing that's worthy of that. And there she is last night, with an inverted cross on and doing "Too Sweet Me" Briz hand signals and spirit magic of surrounding yourself in your own little vortex of however far out your aura goes, I guess is what they believe in what I've studied on sex magic and dark magic. And you can see the exact same thing, LeBron James last maybe 2 or 3 years ago, could be even further back, but doing the same ritual stuff, surrounding himself with incantation and whatnot. And it started out as, Alex Jones is crazy in 2000. And now we have it mainstream in front of your children in the Super Bowl, and ritualistic paganism magic. And who is the priest class, and who did they show there last night? Reba got a new show coming out. Plus she's on your other indoctrinated, whatever, America's Got Talent type shows where they press a buzzer on somebody singing karaoke who's got looking for their Andy Warhol 15 minutes of fame. I mean, that's where we're at with it. And then you can go right down the line. Gwen Stefani's another one. Blake Shelton, I think, is the dude she sang with. And during their whole performance, he's wearing black, she's wearing black and white. And in the back is Masonic checkerboard. People are like, oh, that could be for NASCAR. Get the fuck out of here. If you're that ignorant, then you are part of the 85 who don't got a clue. You're one of the plebs right out of Orwell. So they're just force feeding you, the as above, so below. And then you want the work, they said it's, the numerology, and shout out to Strangler Steve, who's our expert numerologist here at HMG and is always looking for specific timestamps or things on a rolling ticker that reinforce what you're seeing is, this is some work and ritualistic magic for whatever ritual they're trying to do, humiliation, death, sacrifice, sexual wise. But yeah, even last night they're so in your face with it. You got Kelsey doing this shit, absolutely at the end. You have Mahomes in the fourth quarter doing this as well. Whatever this, and if you don't know what this is, obviously you should. You're a Hami Media subscriber. It's 6666 3 6s. And then as above, so below, black and white. Where are we in the middle? The number 333. How many yards did he have exactly last night when I Googled it for my FanDuel bet? 333 yards. What's the address of the arena? 333. They even put it over, so it just doesn't stop when these things just don't happen by happenstance. Those that are selected in the priest class are told to do this job, especially when there's billions and billions of dollars on the line. And there was they rib about the script because they don't want to go back to whatever it was in 1982 or 85 when wrestling really got exposed as phony, right? And everyone's calling it fake because football is doing the same thing. All football is a bigger sponsored wrestling now that is trying to kayfabe it, but they're putting all this Illuminati symbolism. So I didn't see a ton in the Usher halftime performance, aside from the Alicia Keys piano that is probably some type of blood ritual symbolism, and white and red together, both teams red. So we could be talking about some type of blood symbolism there as well. But what they did show was all of the Illuminati priest class. and it wasn't like there was anybody there that kind of wasn't in it that they didn't show. Post Malone, an absolutely terrible performance, and a guy who just carved his face up and made humans look like, hey, any dirtbag that looks like a meth head can now get over. We're going to push that with that. That's what we're going to push, is the downfall of middle class. Make sure you get your face tattooed with a bunch of stupid branded shit that you don't believe in, and just disgrace your face and your body, and we'll make that cool so your kids do it too. So obviously his performance was dog shit, like most of them usually are. And it was everybody just about getting to take a selfie with Post Malone. Pretty pathetic. On top of that, we have people just getting ready to go divisive with it, right? Like with the Black National Anthem. I don't give a shit. It's a song. Like there is no extra country that needs a national anthem. So I would rebrand that as a civil anthem or something along those lines, because there is no nation tied to that. And that's what they want. They want that divisiveness. Then obviously you have to show Jay-Z and blonde Beyonce there. Nobody's slamming on Beyonce for cultural appropriation of long blonde hair. Again, just more divisiveness to be set up. Ice Spice, like I said, a worthless property that should probably be thrown into a wood chipper and blasted into a lake someplace. Who else did we see there? Reba, there was a, let me see, I gotta go back to my notes here, kids. God damn it. Who did I send it to? Heartnet last night too. Shout out to Johnny Publix. No, I didn't send that to him. Big Ray all day with the memes, doing his thing. Make sure you give Big Ray a follow. He always has fun rubbing it in the Super Bowl next day. Let's see here. Man, who the fuck did I send it to? Yalla. But you guys know who else was there. I'm not even gonna go through all of them, but they were all studio properties. These are all people that have gone through the system, and even to get over and that they're showing there. There was nobody outside of that realm of who they try and pump Illuminati priest class shit through. So very interesting as far as who's in the house and who's getting shined and who's what they want to possess is mainstream. You know what I mean? So disturbing, but I didn't see as much symbolism inside the actual halftime show itself of what they're putting over. So maybe they just toned it down. I did want to see Usher bust his ass on roller skates. I always just think that's a funny bump when people take a bump out of nowhere, but he didn't. So it's whatever. I saw the stage though. That reminded me, like a lot of wrestling companies will get the cast picture, which is always a nice thing to look back on. But everyone will be standing on one side of the ring, and twice I've seen that happen where there's 20 wrestlers standing on hard cam side, and then the ring bends, breaks, or something happens. So we got that picture. Well, last night when they were jumping up and down on the stage there, man, it was flexing. I was waiting for that thing to collapse underneath them, because they just that energy that's going there, they weren't prepared for that. So yes, Gwen Stefani, Taylor Swift, Jigga Man, Beyonce, LeBron, and Post Malone. You couldn't get a more starting lineup of Illuminati, death cult, priest class people that are owned, and you see it whether it's their shows that they get with major networks and just get carried over. Nobody really gives a shit about them, you know what I mean? And to get LeBron to GOAT phase or what have you, also a work. I'm not saying the guy isn't a talented NBA star, but you see what he does. You can go back and look at his satanic magic. And me as an alleged terrorist, bucking for conspiracy theorist, post-atheist. It's interesting to me that these people get these spots and promote this satanic Illuminati symbolism in all of our music, culture, sports, whatever it is. And then you go, well, is Stevie and Vince right? And there is a devil out there. And then, you hear Mel Gibson talk, you hear Bob Dylan talk about it. And all I want to do is see the devil face to face so I can beat the fuck out of him. Really. Like, I'm like, who's stepping up here to throw some punches, that whoever is making these people into this level. And, reading Tim Alberino's book, Birthright, and everything that's going on alien wise, it's confounding to me, or maybe I'm just plugged into the matrix and this is what they're feeding into my mainframe. But at the end of the day, people say even our own Aaron Bench Slomo and Satan is real. There is a devil. Step up, bro. March 16th, I'll be in Dwaynesburg in a hardcore match. Devil, show up. You can be the third man, and I will beat the fuck out of you. So, whatever this entity is, this Hollywood entity that has people drinking the yellow juice to fucking give them immortality or whatever the ritual sacrifices and ritual. Lady Gaga last night there. How about that rise and fall of what they tried to do with that? Like, Lady Gaga gives a shit about being at the Super Bowl, but her performance was probably the biggest Illuminati induction ceremony there ever was, looking through the broken glass. So, all of them, I would love just to see their jets taken down, with some surface to air or directed energy weapon, because all those people are what has caused our society to become as bad as it is. And not like we didn't participate with Jay-Z, Jigga What, Jigga Who, and every other goddamn thing, but it's so out of control now with Pfizer and Sony, pretty much two corporations running the world of what it is with entertainment and indoctrination. So, but yeah, man, 39 strong here. I thought we were 33 strong, but we'll take 39 as above, so below, or 42 actually now, half and half. Shout out to you guys this morning as I rant on, but I know people wanted to hear slightly about my perspective of breaking down these ritualistic tribal ceremonies that are rife with pagan symbolism, and if you feel it's fucked up, you're on the right path. You understand. So whether it's the atheists joining the Christians because the atheists just want a better society for humanity and mankind versus this indoctrination of evil salaciousness, I don't say that sex doesn't sell and people can't have whatever they want in their lives, but when you're trying to bring the family around and let a hardworking man and woman escape and have a game that should mean something sports wise, but now the whole thing's a complete fix while they're trying to sell it as real, I got a problem with that. That's where I have a problem with. There's too many people out there who work too goddamn hard just to survive, and this is something they look forward to. I don't care if it's bread and circuses, really, or just a greater distraction scenario. We like art and entertainment, and we like battle. And I'm part of a fixed version of that. But this being exposed as that, and now what it just stands for, is as fucked up as it gets, you know what I mean? But we all participate, I guess, in the greater hive mind of it all. So I think Frank's right. I am a cult leader, I guess, you guys. So thanks for the super stickers, the cheers, the bits, all weekend long while we were doing SmackDown Live self-help group. Had a good time there, and just plenty of entertainment throughout this week, I'm sure, with Russo brand and Master Shoot Theater and everything else as the headlines continue to get more and more salacious. And we love that. And it's called Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude, for those who are down with Imperium, which means taking pleasure in others' misery. And I guess you could say the rant that I just did has some embedded in there, but that seems to be this dark energy, this draconian energy that they allegedly feed off of, and why they do it. I say just put the devil in a fucking match with the Sons of Allah, and we'll shape some shit up real quick. But we took on the Nazi Mafia this weekend, and they got the 1-2-3, but we got back over on them, leading into what now will be the Guantanamo Bay boot match in Dwaynesburg on March 16th. And I heard Tyler Breeze and Fandango will be the WWE alumni at that show. So if you're looking to come out and check us out, I'll be in a serious boot camp match, hardcore as it gets. Those dirty Italians infected Z-Woo with Italian COVID, probably one of the worst kinds of COVID you can get, and that's why card was subject to change for this past show. So, but we took them on 3-on-2, but that's the only way they could win was using all those Italian dirty mafia tricks that they use. So, good times though with Blaze Haram as always this weekend, and make sure you are following Blaze. He's got some big matches coming up with some top talent all over the East Coast, and I'm happy for him. And definitely, if he's coming to your area, I know he's Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New Jersey. So keep an eye out with Blaze. He's got some big matches. Oh, yeah, oh, man. But no R to be the V. 20 minutes in here. I tried to vamp as much as I could, pal. Tried to give you 3 minutes, but I'm not sure where he's at right now. So doesn't matter. We'll go solo on the Dolo. 45 strong here with the Bearcats in the chat room. Like I said, hopefully you guys are ready to kick the week off, having a good week, a weekend with everything that was going on. The weather's been a nice reprieve, so more global warming, if you please, because definitely do not want snow and cold. Not too many new headlines after the Friday locker room. Some heavy talk there too, you guys, and I got that out this weekend exclusively for channelattitude.com. So $5 a month. What are you waiting for if you're not a subscriber already? Some definite hot takes and what I believe what my truth is from the Friday locker room as well. I was trying to get very cool MC out of Atlanta named Four Eyes, who I've become a very big fan of. He looks kind of like Snoop. He's got some Shock G Humpty Hump comedy to him. He flows over the boom bap beat incredibly, and probably one of the best lyricists and punchline guys and metaphor guys I've seen in probably 2 decades. And I was glad to stumble upon him. I know he's kind of located in that Atlanta area, but it's just 4-Eyes, I-Z-E, 4 Eyes. He wears glasses and embraces it. But I was so glad to stumble upon him. Usually every morning he puts out some type of 1 minute 16-bar verse, 8-bar verse, and just absolutely kills it. And they're all a little different, but he has a lot of wrestling references, very, very smart level, high level references, and a lot of conspiracy theory references. So I'm like, dude, this is the algorithm putting me in contact with this guy. And I reached out, but he wants to do it. We just didn't get it hooked up on Friday. So I really like to welcome Four Eyes into the HMG Russo brand universe and make awareness for him, just like I have other proteges of mine, whether it's Frio, Milton McBride, or my man Rated R, Rated R CNY. Just phenomenal hip-hop talents, and hip-hop is always pumped to be in a cameo in those videos. So hopefully we can do something with Four Eyes coming down the road and bring in another great talent into the HMG universe, pal. You're goddamn right, group. So y'all, Elite Video Productions joining the chat. What's good, Jay Hal? See you too, pal. Always hanging and banging as we're 49 strong. Let's get to some wrestling headlines so we can punch in and punch out. We got a big week of cannabis ahead. You guys keep a good thought in your mind for at Ravens Joint. We're hoping to get our license finalized. They say it's 3 weeks from when you have your walkthrough, and that'll be this Thursday. However, there's a huge meeting on Friday in the state capital of Albany. So I don't hear anything by Thursday. We have to go to Albany to put the heat on, cut the promo, and just get this shit done, man. It's dealing with politicians is different than dealing with talent, and definitely different than dealing with business people where time is money, So to them, it's all about accolades and applause. So it's a little bit dealing like talent, but at the same time, they're not very good workers compared to wrestling talent. Water break. Yellow. As Frank says, Four Eyes is Satanist. Okay. As above, so below, I guess. How many things do we participate in every day that have that we've been trained with. And you can look at spellcraft, even the word spelling, even the word cursive, and what you're taught. How long have we been indoctrinated? John Perillo's in the house too. Shout out. What's good, buddy? Good morning. And let's see here. The headlines, there was plenty of salacious ones with Vince updates, and the big news last week was obviously the departure of Scott D'Amore from TNA Wrestling. But very interesting to see where his next steps will be, or if there's any further stories that come out. And I did see that there was like updates of how he wanted more budget for the show and they didn't want it, and and that all may be true. Like everyone's got their own truth in the part of that. And then Tricky Nick burning bridges last week as he had his Las Vegas media pass revoked, again going in trying to make the reasons something seem salacious, sexual nature, CQA nature, without having any proof or knowledge that was what it was. Now, I'm not saying things like that haven't happened and may not surround the people involved, but he kind of was on his jump to conclusions, Matt, and he's done this before, and I'm not sure why he's burning his bridges and trying to, I guess you could say, be some type of hero knight where he's protecting those who may have some type of gripe of abuse or quid pro quo in every fed. I'm not just talking TNA, WWE, and AEW, right? Because he lashed out at Jericho on Christmas in a very, I'm sure, had one too many eggnogs, and very strangely does that. And we've talked about this pattern of self-destructive behavior. I don't like to see it in anybody, especially someone who could have had a good run, but then he gets to Vegas and, after kind of everybody sees everything and how he went at Jericho and thinks he's over because Cody or Punk or Heyman know who he is. Now the ego starts to go a little bit crazy, and, it's Vegas. I'm sure he was partying and got told that he wasn't going to be able to be in the press conference or whatever it was. I don't even think they took questions, but they don't want to even acknowledge of what's going on with McMahon, right? And that's going to be Hausman's job and what he has stepped up. So they revoked his press pass before they even started after he flew out there. And then they watch him go off on the D'Amore situation. Or no, Mike Johnson and him are going at it and just tell him to fuck off. And everybody sees everything. It's what I tell my producers right away. I'm like, even if they're lurking, they're watching. And I do enough hot takes, and I've been blackballed long enough and done enough controversial shit that I don't really give a fuck too much. I have to protect my mafia interests so it doesn't blow back on others and friends. So I sometimes could pick my battles a little more carefully, I guess. But really, I'm also over enough in this game to know how to end around people, or the people that are blocking me have their own skeletons in the closet that will eventually take them down and leave a big power vacuum for someone like me who doesn't have those skeletons in the closet, but has all of the alleged wherewithal to fill that void. That's just how this shit goes. When your time in the merry-go-round comes around, you're either getting on or getting off. Right? Yeah, I'm getting off, pal. Just like how Jinder's push came back around, and now where is he now? Jinder's not even in the picture. But for 2-3 weeks out of nowhere, he was the fucking man, and everybody's talking to him. It just happens like that sometimes. So we'll see if the outbursts, whether it was whiskey driven or double IPA driven, I think is what he likes, in Vegas, that then got his press pass revoked. And then because he would have bitched about it after going all the way out there, somebody reaches out and goes, let's fly him back and we'll apologize. And he marks for it because WWE is doing something for him. Really, what's that cost them? A plane ticket to do damage control. Sorry.
We are in control now.
to do damage control to keep him in the I'll give him their flowers when they do something nice for me, dude. Like, that's him being worked and not even realize he's being worked. So as smart as they think they are to the business or whatever little inside contact they give them, that's breadcrumbs, bro. And they'll bitch about it one hand until they come back around with another treat, and just like a Pavlovian dog, they'll start salivating for it again and again. However, his own path of self-destructive behavior, I think, has taken out him as the AEW dude in Chicago. I'll be interested to see if they let him ask tough questions. The impact to TNA stuff is still pretty like, what are you doing? You know, that could F him up there. And he already had it out with Billy Corgan, I guess, too. And so the NWA hook up there, which is right out, it should be a Chicago-based thing, is probably scarred. And now with WWE pulling his press credentials because of their own salaciousness as well. I'm not trying to pin that on Nick by any means. It's interesting. So when your job is to facilitate and report on the industry, and you're think you're equals of these legendary Hall of Famers that you can go up against, it's not going to work out well. And that was a weird thing from last week with the D'Amore stuff. Now, that being said, and I know I'm recapping some of what I did on Friday, what corporate says, what the dirt sheets say, and then what the dirt sheets are alluding to still isn't the inside stooge of the true reason why D'Amore is not at Impact or in TNA, excuse me. You know, that, so the inside story from the boys in the locker room, not the ones that's going to be fed to a Hausman or a Johnson or anything like that. Or maybe it was fed to them and their kayfabing still isn't out. Like, and it's not as salacious as Tricky Nicky tried to make it, and it's not as corporate as TNA did. And this is just what I've heard. I don't know firsthand. I know secondhand. So we'll see if that gets out, and if not, it's not my nuke to set off. You know, so, and I wouldn't even call that a nuke. That might just be a directed energy weapon shot. Little Maui Wowie, pal. So, y'all. Yo, Jimbo, he says he's got some great news. HMG Mafia. Well, feel free to share, pal. We always like to share in all the Bearcats wins. And looks like everybody's kicking ass in the chat room. Won't be able to do a romper room. There's so many of you right now hanging and banging, but love to see that community. Love to see it in the Media discussion group on Facebook. Everyone seemed like they're having a fun time this week. And I didn't even get to watch UFC or get my bets down, which is fine, I guess, because I came out ahead off the Super Bowl. But yeah, man, good times as always inside the community. Let's see. AEW's Kenny Omega said to be doing much better after being diagnosed with diverticulitis. He says AEW President Tony Khan commented, he said, we're all very worried about him. He's doing better, but, you know, he was seriously sick and his life could have been threatened had he had not gotten to the doctors when he had. He was really sick, and he's thankfully doing much better. And, you know, we're always wishing Kenny the best. And hopefully looking forward to seeing Kenny back in AEW as soon as he's healthy. Let's see. Alvarez says, I was told that one of the things Kenny's deal was that he had to pump him full of antibiotics. Apparently the antibiotics are working, so he may still need surgery. But the last report was that I got things were looking up for him, and he was doing a lot better and hopefully making a full recovery. Yeah, interesting. Diverticulitis. I know some Brock has had it. I know our own Big Ray had a pretty serious bout with it, and that it will put you in the hospital, and there will be some cutting going on sometimes, you know. So hopefully nobody out there right now is suffering with it. I'm not sure if it's from bad eating habits. It doesn't seem like a Kenny Omega would be a kind of a guy with a bad diet. You know what I mean? I mean, we all have our fix that we need, whether it's sugar, salty and sweet or what have you, but could be inherited. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, if it's a generational thing. So I know it's not fun, and it really took him down and out, and it could be very serious, causing toxicity in you. So, y'all, 8 Ways that I says it's meat. It's in the goddamn meatloaf. Get me Meatloaf. Paradise by the Dashboard Light, pal. But yeah, man, he was laid up in the hospital, and then to pump yourself full of antibiotics to get rid of infection like that, especially when it's in your organs and digestive system, scary stuff, you know what I mean? And not feeling well. And I think it takes a long time to kick out from that. So the reality is, though, the more time that guy's on the sideline, I hope that he has the strength to do the physical therapy to keep his spine, to keep his shoulder, to keep his neck. You know, obviously we saw him take some insane bumps in the last year, and that Stevie broke down on Stevie Richards Wrestling Analysis channel, and they couldn't take the simple constructive criticism from such a pro as Stevie. You know, that why are we taking these chances? Well, hopefully in the time he's been on the shelf, it's neck rolls every day, light yoga, resistance bands from StevieRichardsFitness.com, and nursing those injuries for years that you might not have been able to really put some time into. Or with diverticulitis, maybe you just feel like such shit that you just got to lay the fuck out, man, you know? So I'm not sure. Yeah. Or it could be too much goddamn golden loving going on. That's why I agree, Frank, on that one. I'll give you let's see. Mike Martin says bad eating, energy drinks, and lack of fiber can lead to it. Yeah, man. Definitely, energy drinks are something I should. I can go hot and cold on those. The Red Bull Yellows is my go-to, but I used to be a Monster. When Monster first came out in OVW, we were drinking those big tall boys of it with the twist off top, like one and a half of those a day, and I knew we shouldn't be doing. We were fucking boys on the road doing what we needed to do, you know, young and stupid. But yeah, who knows, man, with all that taurine and all that shit of how that definitely can fuck you up long term, right? This one for more of the Kenny Omega Japan fans, Kazuchika Okada. You might have heard of him, pal. Now expected to be joining AEW despite reports of WWE being interested in signing him. Okada's now a free agent. There were reports that WWE and AEW are interested in signing to a contract, and an update on Okada's future Fightful Select from the Sapsucker is reporting that AEW will be heading to AEW, and the deal was effectively agreed to in the last couple of weeks. While it hasn't been confirmed that Okada has signed a contract, the deal is said to be close to being finalized. Interesting, because with WWE going to Anthem, you would be like, oh, they've got all these billions of dollars. Maybe guys will get paid now. But then you think of what else Anthem owns in UFC, and they don't really pay their fighters shit unless you get over to show that you can sell a pay-per-view with controversy like a Colby Covington or a Shane Strickland or Adesanya talking conspiracy, or Conor McGregor, I'll beat the fuck out of the Mayweathers, whatever the fuck, right? That's when you make money. When you're just a kick-ass fighter, you might get over a little bit, but unless you're finishing guys in a spectacular way to get a bonus, guys are in there begging for $50,000 extra, right? And like, what's a Saudi Arabia payday? I mean, that alone is fucking $600,000, $700,000 for some upper level talent, maybe more, millions for a Brock or an Undertaker, right? In one shot. So the company that bought him really still doesn't give a fuck about the talent and will take you out back like an old Kentucky Derby racehorse and put a 357 in your head as soon as it fucking makes sense on paper for them to do that. And they'll do it for fun sometimes just to show that they can do it to keep everybody else in line. That being said, they're not paying talent that is coming in or coming back at a high level. They're trying to hook them going, oh, you want to be famous? Then you're going to come with us no matter what. Because word is Sasha Banks also went back and with some silly number, and they kind of laughed in her face. And I was surprised at that, because when her and Naomi walked out, and I guess Naomi's back, right? It was over some Johnny Ace shit. Well, now would be the time to come back and flex your muscle that you got Stooge report on Johnny Ace to get what you want. And apparently, you know, if this is true, they didn't meet her number, and she may be going to big business in Boston at AEW. So Okada and her are the rumored big business signings. Will they move the needle at all? No, zero. Like maybe for 2 weeks, you might get a 50,000 mark bump, but that's it. I mean, New Japan draws about 60,000 from what I heard, right? On anything that they do, pay-per-view wise, tops. So those people, maybe half of that will tune in to see a couple misuses of Okada. And what do you say about Sasha Banks? Sure, she's Snoop's cousin and got the WWE pedigree, but you can go back and watch 90% of her matches, and they're like, ugh. Say the same thing about my matches, but I'm not the one bucket on a WWE job saying I'm the fucking best ever. So that's interesting to see if both of them will show up there. But what's more interesting is that WWE, these things get leaked that they have intent of signing them, and then the talent sees what's on the bottom line money-wise, and they're like, fuck that, I'm going to pick Tony's pockets, which is smart. You're in that you only had so many punches on your bump card. You got to make the most of your time and make the most money to set yourself up or set your brand up for the future to get over with that. So no hate on them showing up in AEW for more money, but it's interesting that WWE isn't signing them. And I also saw Camille Brickhouse story that she was going to end up going there, and now that's kind of on hold too, because she may want to go to AEW and pursue outside acting. I think she's in a new movie coming up about the early days of women's wrestling, and she, the story I saw, she got the acting bug. Yeah, well, whatever, dude. Like, to get paid to act, yeah, it's fucking about Mildred Burke, I believe. You know, and she's in A+ shape always, and has all the va-va-va-boom, and everybody gets into this shit to work for WWE. So it's weird that talent that are really paying their dues through NWA, where she started as a valet to learning the craft to where she is now, to have this opportunity, you know, and get over there. Not much, like they're saying no. That's 3 talents in the last week that all should have money written on them for WWE, turning it down because they only offered her $1,000 a week at NXT or something, and she's, you know, thinks she's, and Tony can offer 4. You know, why wouldn't you? Like, to go do some phony shit just to be buried in NXT among girls who are probably going to hurt you from doing dumb spots. What did I see? A flipping RKO from the girls the other day, kick out. Oh, okay. So not the clout that you might want with the WWE brand, but smart business people know if you can make 400% more taking the same bump, you fucking better go do it, you know? So that's why Edge leaves for over there. Daniel Bryan leaves for over there. Yeah. Let's see here. What's Frank say? I saw Thunder Rosa doing slutty pics with that blonde girl with the big arm tats. I don't know what that means, but get me slutty pics, pal. Yo, so but we'll see if Okada and Mercedes Moné show up over there, and if Brickhouse does as well. The Rock says your hero fucked around and found out while addressing the WWE WrestleMania 40 kickoff. In a post via Instagram, Rock, you might have heard him commented on what happened. He says, I was born into this crazy world and I love every second of it. It's been decades since pro wrestling has been buzzing like this for WrestleMania. And this has become a rare air that we're all breathing. That should be rarefied air. And it's very fucking cool and exciting for us as wrestlers, our company, and most importantly, all of our fans. Your hero fucked around and found out quickly what happened when you talk about my family with disrespect. Lines crossed and blurred. Bring it. We don't toe the mark for no one. Road is the road. WrestleMania begins. Hashtag People's Champ. Interesting with the $5 face slap he laid on Cody. You know, that whole thing had such a attitude era feel about it that we haven't seen in a decade, that everyone's like, oh, it's so great. Well, that should be the standard. We've just had delusional ego-driven, out-of-touch people who don't understand what's cool for the last 15 years trying to tell us what's cool. So when you finally see it, you're like, wow, this worked. Yeah, but like we said in the alleged consultancy, let's see what they do next week. We'll be right back to Coach Carter and Katana Nana versus fucking the Facha Brutes for number one contender for women's tag titles that they'll never win, and it'll just be abhorrent just work as always. So just because somebody gives you 2 minutes of something decent doesn't mean they can crap on your head for the next 3 hours, or it does if you sign an NDA. Well, I mean, it's up to you, pal. Yalla. So but yeah, he got hot about that and put it over, and even backstage. But here's what I do like. I do like that this is a man, well, not a man's, I would say a more mature product with, I'm tired of the say this or you can't say that. Dude, people all day, you can go on an elementary school playground and there's fucking second graders calling each other cocksuckers or whatever it is. Like, everybody swears, like, whatever this Puritan ethics of like, how dare you use these words, or words hurt me. If nobody's actually physically assaulting you and actually making contact with a punch, kick, claw, whatever it is, then I don't give a shit about any word. There is no word. Well, I guess there's one word you can't say. There is no word that should not be said. And if anybody has the instant reaction to it, then the problem lies with you and your own ability to handle stress. Like the fact of any string of words together should be easily blown off with like, well, that person's an idiot. And if you go any farther than that, then now it becomes your issue of what you're mismanaging. So I like that when they're doing a walkthrough backstage and, Triple H says, and Rock says, you better get a handle on this shit. And we instantly up it a little bit, right? Everyone heard their dad say shit when he burns his hand on the barbecue or whatever it is. And then the other part of that is he doubles down and comes back and drops, says, fuck, I'll knock his fucking teeth out of his mouth next time. That's a big step up from where we were. And I'd like to see more of that realism. And The Rock is doing that, not because they're telling him to go blue. It's because The Rock's the boss now. And he's in with the fucking priest class, and then he can do whatever he wants, backed by whoever he wants at this point. What's interesting to me is that he's doing this stuff knowing that a presidential run is coming down the road. However, in this idiocracy, if we tear down our own language and level of sensitivities, who knows what idiocracy we'll be in by the time he runs, and that the whole campaign might be vote for the, as we bastardize our language all the way down. So interesting that they're doing that. However, I like it. I'm an East Coast guy who swears way too much. I probably should dial it back. But after being a Rip Rogers guy, that was cemented in forever because Rip's a master of swearing. And shout out to the Hustler on his birthday last week. It was good to be over there in Von Lila Studios, getting to appreciate my mentor and say happy birthday, and the beard's looking great. So shout out to the Hustler as well. Make sure you hit him, Hustler2754 on Twitter. Say happy belated birthday, Ripper. But then The Rock also, you might have heard, kind of got into it with a reporter who I checked out the guy's Twitter. He's gotten, 200,000 followers. So he's not super small time or a dirt sheet writer claiming that they're a fucking actual journalist, as we're 63 strong here in the chat room. Shout out to all the AEW, WWE, and Impact stooges watching right now. I appreciate you guys running and telling that and hanging out with the Bearcats. Subscribe to channelattitude.com if you want to hear more. The Rock issues a statement in response to someone using his heel promo to spread false garbage clickbait. Let's see. Twitter user Nick Sortor, Sortor, posted a video of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson getting booed at the 24 WrestleMania kickoff, along with a false claim. Crowd in Vegas boos The Rock, demanding he followed through with aid for Maui. Oprah and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson promised tens of millions to the victims of the Maui fires, but many victims have still not seen a dime. It looks like the audience is fully America first and is demanding The Rock and Oprah follow through with their commitment to take care of the people of Lahaina. The crowd started booing, Maui, 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 make it happen. Here was Rock's response. I typically refrain from responding to toxic, false clickbait garbage like this because I hate dignifying bullshit with a response. But when you're using Hawaii's tragic events to draw attention to yourself, I won't stay quiet. This moment you're referring to is from our WWE press conference this past Thursday, where I turned heel, wrestling parlance for the bad guy. Parlance, that's a word I should use more. I'm playing it up with our crowd as they boo. It's what we do in our WWE universe, and we all love every second of it. For the record, our People's Fund of Maui has already delivered over $50 million to over 8,000 survivors who were affected by the fires, and I'm grateful to the bone that we've been the primary funders. Hawaii is where I grew up, where I raised my children throughout the year, where my ancestors are buried. These are my Polynesian people, and these are our American people. You can't imagine how much they're struggling daily to put lives back together and take care of each other. Our poly-American people are resilient as people come, and they will raise and get back to their feet. Nick, instead of posting bullshit like this that you know is false, I encourage you to post something positive for Hawaii, our Polynesian American people, or taking positive action and come to Hawaii to help out in an uplifting way. I'm in Hawaii now, and I guarantee you'll get great content that you can actually make a difference in people's lives. Genuinely. Let's put our energy into our online platforms and into lifting people up, acknowledging the good things that people do, raising awareness for suffering in ways that can be effectively help. It takes so much effort to be negative and create. It takes so much effort to be negative and create and spread bullshit. But when you spread positivity, kindness, and lead by example, you can really impact lives. I'm sorry to all of our Poly-Hawaiian Ohana of Maui for shining a light on this toxicity as you struggle through tough times. I'll always try to be Noa'u Pono. Love you. Aloha, DJ. My Hawaiian, not too bad, I guess. And I agree 100% with the artist returns. He's got a great press writer, a great one, especially when you're dealing with Team Oprah. Interesting. I'd like to see the money trail of claiming 50 million. And not that I don't put over that Nick Sordor was trying to do propaganda and do the Maui thing, but this is where, when we line it up, and you can go to Russo Brand YouTube channel right now with Is The Rock Illuminati? Yeah, sure. Of course he is. There's plenty of pictures with the eye covered of dressing like a woman to do humiliation rituals. And then from there, you become the highest paid guy in Hollywood. Did I love Ballers? I mean, The Rock's era? Absolutely. But it's not just by happenstance that you get these shots. You get over and do what you need to do to stump for Biden and Kamala, and then you get to fucking be anointed by that side that runs Hollywood. That same side runs Hollywood. That's why you do those moves. And then you get to a point with your childhood buddy that you can do corporate takeovers with your Mossad agent and become a corporate superpower, a global one, right? And then when we go back on wrestling, boy, aren't we the people's champion, but so much happens behind the scenes. And to go up with the Oprah stuff and the $10 million and when they were asking for it after being the highest paid man in Hollywood was nothing short of stomach churning. And I think that they're trying to get the stink off them like that. And they don't, that this was an easy attack to rebut, or maybe even they put that attack out there to try and wash it away, right? To get that out there. Controlled opposition might be a useful idiot. You never know. But I do agree that this is a complete PR put out there. And the other part of it that rings out, not to question is Polynesian heritage, but it gets put in there 3-4 times. Boom. If you have any other fucking opinion, kill Whitey. That's what it says underneath that. right? Like, how dare you go against any minority that suffered a tragedy? Well, let's talk about the tragedy. No, we can't talk about it. Really? Why was there barricades and policing put up all the way around this very controlled, directed energy weapon looking fire that burned at temperatures that make zero sense on how a palm tree or a foundation of a house would burn to the ground and leave nothing but white powdery ashes, and why the fucking water was on fire? Like, these things just don't add up. And then when people start putting that together, up go the barricades, out go the YouTube blocks, out go the, like, the call and response is tells the entire story of who's really in power and what they're doing there. And then here come the stories. People want to buy more property near Oprah and make doomsday bunkers. Like, they don't give a shit about the people's lives in these press conferences that they claim, or that they did $50 million. That can be more hush money than anything. And was it really $50 million? Because the blowback he took by coming out with hat in hand to ask for $10 million was not a good look, right? And then all that gets swept under the rug until this kind of point. Why? Because here comes Gaza and Israel, or Ukraine, or whatever it is they're trying to do, because they got caught with their dick out actually using a directed energy weapon to fucking wipe out a coastline. So Hilton and fucking the W and Riu and Bahia and every other fucking major chain that's a corporate resort wants to come in there and get that property and turn it from a $300,000 property to a $3 million property per square footage, right? Instantly. And even the town had a historical charter in place saying that this area is protected by the people and can't be sold to down the line. Yeah, we'll see about that. Now that the people don't live there anymore and push them out, that's how you get around it. And then people are like, no, there's no such thing as directed energy weapons. Roll that fucking fire in Russia this week after Tucker Carlson interviews Putin. And while the fucking thing is going up live, half of Moscow, the roofs burst into flames. No such thing as directed energy weapon and espionage, though, kids. None of that shit. You know, none of it. So, again, we're talking about priest-class Illuminati that fucking runs and works Hollywood, is tied in with CIA and Mossad, is tied in with Saudis, is tied in with money grabs, and has every type of tax evasion you could possibly want. And the fact that you roll with that clique means they're going to put you up for president in 2028 when you toe the lines of the major psyops and every other goddamn thing that they do to indoctrinate. And you'll get back to your wrestling fan base who want a nostalgia like I do, because that's your main taxpayer and voters from 2020 to 2028 in that bracket. So it's all easily strung along in a conspiracy when you look at the pieces and the players involved and how they operate and the timeline at which they accelerated their careers. It's not because people are fucking fans of Jumanji 2. Or the Tooth Fairy. None of that, son. Akuma Shente to everybody out there. Yalla. Let's see here. That's a pretty stiff one. These are big, bad headlines at the end. Seth Rollins says CM Punk, you might have heard of him, will return to wrestling in a year or two until his next injury. During an interview with Hollywood Salcedo, he said, one of us is fragile old man and one of us is a young stallion. Wow. So I'll be back in a couple of weeks. He'll be back in a year or two until his next injury. I don't know. I'd love to kick the crap out of him. I'm sure he'd love to get in there and try and do something to me, but it's not going to work. So am I disappointed? I'd say a little bit. Only because I thought if we had an opportunity to do it, stomping his head into the mat would be the best at WrestleMania. Like, it would be the best at WrestleMania in front of the biggest audience. I'm a little bummed by that. I feel like he's talking about the greatest comeback of all time. I'll be happy to stomp out that comeback when his time comes. Yeah, man. Well, I don't know about Seth being a young stallion. He's been there for a minute, right? There's been a lot of bumps. From Saudi to wherever and back again, and I know your back is hood, and now his leg is also hood, and to me those injuries don't ever get better. You don't come back and go, yep, my back's fine. I never in wrestling go, wow, my back is back to 100% after that bump. Every bump you take a little bit off of your health meter, your Mortal Kombat health meter. So I'm glad that he thinks he can, but it's going to get worse and worse. And he's right about Punk. You're going to get hurt. You can't train and get the ring rust off, and then you got to put on big matches. And every time you do that at an indie worker level, but you're doing it in front of a major crowd, you risk the chance of a serious injury, a serious ligament tear, a serious bone break, a serious roll of something. And then really it takes you almost a month to kick out afterwards after one of these matches that are at that caliber. I know we've watched this for years, but if you're a fan and you've never done it before, when, you know, I not that it's easy for me to knock ring rust off, and I think Punk's 2 years younger than me. He might be 1 year younger than me. Taking a overhead release fucking Samoan throw and then getting belly to belly in the Nachi Mafia match, and then getting belly to belly by Congo Kong and having him come down on you. I was jacked up for 6 weeks after that. Like your body just goes into shock and traction, right? Like everything just tightens around and go, holy shit, it's not one part of my body that hurts. Everything just got fucked up. My whole skeleton just got crushed. So, it's interesting. Hey, Sonic the Hedgehog, this is what I do best. Props to Ben for reaching out for semi-unfamiliar references. I've said this before. That's kind of my, bag of tricks in improv. Not that you should be making references in improv. You should be making connections and emotional connections. That does better work. But an obscure reference from my past or a novel or Shakespeare or whatever the fuck movie will just kind of land, and I put it out there, and a lot of people, it'll go over their head, and that's fine. But it's players like you that when I make that connection and you appreciate it, that is what makes me maybe special as a performer. I don't know. Well, it's my specialty. It doesn't make me special. I'm not special. Mike Martin says, yeah, try practicing with Kong. I'm good, bro. Main event matches where he's going to beat the fuck out of me is plenty. So, a lot, man. Jay Hal, I feel you, homie. I fell on some ice last year. Still got me fucked up, son. The only thing you got was Congo Kong. Sorry. When Congo Kong, man, like I'm a big cat, dude. 6'3", probably 60 right now, 265 maybe. And Kong's dropped a fair amount of weight. I'm really happy that he has for his health. But dude, when a guy like that can grab me in a fucking full bear hug and just pick me up and lift me to belly like it's nothing, there's not a lot of people on this planet that can manhandle me like that, dude. And Congo Kong has got beast strength. And then when that big frame comes down on you and you hit, because we weren't right in the corner, we were more towards the ropes, dude, I just felt my whole body go crunch. And when I'm talking about Punk in this too, that's where Seth isn't wrong. But I think Seth might be obviously working, but like he might be a little delusional about his own comeback in the future, and that he's going to have to change his own style to be able to do this at a high level that he wants to, because he's not too far behind Punk based on those injuries accumulating and mounting up. So, Double A says, I'm going to be real. He says, it used to hurt all the time from even sitting. Nothing hurts during carnivore, playing ice hockey, endless sport with my 7-year-old, sitting with my 4-year-old. They likes that carnivore diet. Maybe that helps with the collagen in your joints and things along those lines. I'm glad that works for you, man, for sure. But just even when a storm rolls in now, bro, the change in pressure in me, my ankle will blow up like a grapefruit. My shoulders is constantly hurting. And then once sciatic kicks in, now you're from shoulder to ankle, you're jacked up. And then it'll rain and everything just like a balloon will go back down, dude. So, I'm glad for you that that's definitely working. But I know with any injury wrestling wise, that even if you get it repaired, it's with you forever, dude. You're going to feel it. Somebody who's feeling it right now, the heat. Yeah. Deucey. Bruce Pritchard says he can't comment on the sex trafficking lawsuit against Vince McMahon during his podcast. He said and I wouldn't even have a podcast if I was him right now. I'd be out of the spotlight. Fuck that. That alone to me shows a very poor choice of judgment, you know. Yeah, Matt Adele, he gets it from the weather. Aaron Ben Shlomo says, if you tried a hot pillow, it helps my father with his. Deuce, give me a hot pillow. And that doesn't mean dump on my head while I got it on the pillow. Well, it might. It depends. As far as lawsuits and things of that nature, I'm not at liberty to discuss any legal matters of the company whatsoever. To that, there's nothing that I can say. Can't be a response from the legal standpoint. You can ask until you're blue in the face. I'll blow it in your face, pal. And that's going to be your answer. I'm not involved. I'm not being sued. I'm not being accused of anything. It's a legal matter. Sometimes it is as simple as, for those who believe, the explanation is needed. For those that don't, no explanation will do. That's kind of where we are. Let the rest of it sit in the hands of the fine legal system we have here in the United States. Yeah, that fine legal system of the United States. No one told me not to do anything on the podcast other than the simple fact that I work for a company that's involved in a lawsuit right now. I can't comment. Folks, if you work at a large company and your large company is being sued, there's very little you can say about it. If you do, that's a good way for you to lose your job. Just being on this podcast is a good way for that to happen. The fact that you're even saying I can't answer and a non-answer in legality almost shifts a darker cloud in the burden of guiltiness. The reality is you shouldn't be doing any fucking podcasting right now to even put out a non-statement that you can't comment on what's going on. Because this, like I said, everybody sees everything, will go right to the lawyers. And when you say things like you can ask who you're blue in the face and da-da-da-da, it's a legal matter sometimes. That he's not being prosecuted. He's not being questioned. They're going, well, why aren't we questioning his right-hand man? Why aren't we? You might have gotten under the radar if that, but now that you put out there, hey, it's not on me, shifts on him. I'm just good old Brucey trying to help the boys, but those in the know. So somebody vindictively is going to send that to her lawyer and go, this is the fucking guy. If you want to squeeze some tits and grease up the pig, this is the fucking dude to do some squealing right here. So to try and put out a statement that it ain't me, my hands are clean, when you're in the absolute inner circle, especially when Vince got ousted the first time and Ronda Rousey's saying you're his avatar and your other fucking ace in the hole is already turning tricks to possibly for the feds. And now when do they grab a hold of Carano? When do they grab a hold of Dunn? When do they grab a hold of Michael Hayes? Carano and Dunn are already out of the company. They don't got to worry about losing their jobs. Hayes and Deuce are left, and then Game possibly, and when they're coming for him. So the fact that this statement is even out there is a mistake. Should have stayed completely small and not even said a fucking word about any of it. Like, been persona non grata, totally. But we're in pro wrestling, and we're egomaniacs, and we need spotlight. And even if people are asking and demanding answers, well, I got to make a statement. No, you don't. No, you don't. Not if the feds aren't on you and the cops aren't on you to put something out there. Never miss a chance to shut the fuck up. Let's see. Two really rough stories here to kind of close out. I hate to, I always try and save the worst news for last because it's the biggest. But this one, not as salacious, but definitely saddening. And something we can all relate to, because we've all had somebody in our family who's suffered of fighting cancer. Hopefully they beat it, or but I think we've all probably know someone who's lost to it. Former WWE star Maurice has been diagnosed with a very rare pre-cancer of the ovaries. She wrote on her following Instagram, she said, "Not all heroes wear capes. Here's a superhero I want to take time to highlight. Her name is Theus Alibata, OBGYN in LA. She saved my life. I couldn't be more blessed to have crossed paths with this brilliant, uber-talented, patient, attentive, and genuinely caring woman. A little background on what happened. I've been suffering from severe abdominal distension and swelling to the point where I would look 6 months pregnant. Lots of GI issues, including SIBO. I'm not sure what that is. Multiple rounds of antibiotics, extreme fatigue, and I wasn't feeling like myself for the past year. My symptoms would come in flare-ups, and it got progressively worse. It became chronic. Saw countless doctors in different fields, but no diagnosis. No one could tell me what's happening. I went down an incredibly long list of testing, from colonoscopy, endoscopy, pill cam endoscopy, MRIs, ultrasounds, CT scans, blood tests. Wow. Just to name a few, and often would be told it's probably just hormonal or it's something your body's allergic to. I even had my entire house tested for mold. I was told to let it go. That it would just figure itself out with time, and that I'm just too impatient and making myself crazy over this. I just would not quit on trying to figure it out. From the start, when I met Thais, forgive me if I'm getting that wrong, Thais, at her office in LA, she listened to my story. She truly listened. She heard me, a doctor's quality that makes a tremendous difference, and agreed that we have to push to get to the bottom of this. She always said, no one knows your body better than you. She proposed we go in there and find out. I was ready. A week ago, I went into surgery with Dr. Thais. She performed a laparoscopic surgery for what we thought was a potential endometriosis disease. She found out and removed 11 implants around my uterus, ovaries, and all connective tissue around the organs in my abdominal cavity. They were sent to pathology for testing. 3 days later, the labs came back, no endometriosis. The 11 implants came back as serious borderline tumors, a very rare type of precancer of the ovaries, very sneaky and aggressive. If those became cancer, the survival rate was less than a year. So what happens next? I'm scheduled for a total hysterectomy surgery in 4 weeks. Wow. My uterus, ovaries, fallopian tubes, cervix, and omentum will all be removed, and we'll get abdominal lymph nodes removing for staging. Wow. I'm remaining positive and determined to beat this thing. There's only one option, and it's winning this battle. As I'm a young mom of 2 daughters, I have to. Let's bring light to a huge woman healthcare issue here. Women get so conditioned to believe that it's normal to suffer, most often in silence, told to stop being a crybaby, that it must be hormonal imbalances or just anxiety or just all in. Told to stop being a crybaby. Oh, sorry, that's a double repeat. Advocate for yourself and keep pushing. Follow your instincts and never underestimate your gut feelings. Yeah, she's got the laparoscopic scars and whatnot, and picture with no makeup and just as beautiful, if not more. But yeah, man, serious stuff when they remove all the plumbing, like especially for a young lady like her. But I'm glad they caught it beforehand and that she stayed diligent. And if you ever have those type of GI issues, they always are the first things like, take out your gallbladder. They did it to me. And they're never really, and it turned out that I had hypercannabinoidemesis from allergic to SMIZ from years of it, and had to stop for X amount of time for my body to reset. But obviously hers is far more serious, but the first thing they're going to do is try and strut and cut. And thankfully this doctor caught that before it got word, but 6 months of distended stomach, that just sounds so frustrating. And when you can't find an answer, and I'm sure not that Ms. is blowing her off or anything, but you're like, well, we tried everything. What else is there left? And then you finally find what it is. And it's very serious, obviously, but very brave of her to say those things, like to say I have to have a full hysterectomy and ovaries removed. Like, I got to believe that's, like taking a big part of the identity of being a woman, you know what I mean? Of being the mother. And thankfully she had two kids and whatnot, but, and putting it out there. So if anybody else is feeling that, then maybe they're getting checked out and maybe it can save a life. You know what I mean? So we'll send all of our best to Maurice. She was, cross paths with her at OVW and Ms. too. And with the family and everything there, I'm sure that's been a big burden for them on their mind in the last 6 months, wanting mom to get better, so really, really rough stuff, man. And that it kind of like, it's not bad enough for, You hear it from the wives. Guys got it so easy, whatever it is, whether just taking a leak anywhere you want to, I guess could be as easy as that. But it seems like their own biology, man, as we usually women 50 to 60, right? It kind of betrays them. She's much younger, and it can happen at any age, I guess. Because some young women have to have that done and they can never have children after that. So thankfully their family's already established. But I feel like that's got to be, just from an outside perspective, a loss of self, you know what I mean? And hopefully it doesn't affect her as much that way. And like any worker, she could, especially with as beautiful as she is, she could become a spokesperson for women's health issues, you know what I mean? And that kind of stuff, and turn that into a positive and maybe a second career. But wishing the whole Mazanin family the best in getting through that in 4 weeks. So hopefully we'll have a good positive update in March saying that the surgery went well and all that kind of stuff, man. So anybody out there suffering with that type of stuff, and it's frustrating going to the doctors and, like she said, being told you're a crybaby. Like, I got frustrated. I had to heat on the doctor at Immortal just to blow off some steam. Super nice guy, and my blood pressure was 110/70, so I think I won. I'm feeling good about myself that way. But I was like, Doc, I go, I know you guys took a lot of heat after COVID, so I don't want to dump on you, but I gotta say, you know, my doctor who usually did my lithotripsies for my kidney stones said that this one's too much, and they wanted to send me to another specialist who wanted to cut into my back, stab through my kidney, and do the shop vac out of it to get it out of there. And that's a $14,000 surgery. My sister-in-law, who's very much becoming much more educated on herbal medicine, found Chanca Piedra, stone crusher, a Peruvian supplement, on Amazon. And within 2 weeks, my kidney stone pain that I've had for the last 6 months has gone from 90% down to about 10%. And I know you guys even know, you would see me here leaned off to the side, back hurting. Yeah, it's a little bad, but I have way more energy and I feel a lot better than I have in 6 months. And that's $40 in supplements off of Amazon versus the 14 grand this guy wanted to charge me. So here's the questions. Is this doctor a shyster? And yeah, he could do the surgery and it would work, but that's because he wants $14,000 and doesn't really give a shit about my fucking health at all and knowing it. Does he not know about this pill completely, this supplement that may put him out of business? And that's why they don't want to put it over. So they really don't care about your health or even you being able to do something to improve your health. Or do they just not know and they're ignorant and they're supposed to be the fucking medical professionals, but I got to go to Amazon and find it out on my own, you know, like that's a big problem. And then the marketing guy in me goes, why is my doctor not buying all the Chanca Piedra he can, putting it in new bottles with his face fucking on it and going, Dr. Oz's kidney stone crusher? Like, all answers lead me to fucking madness, but I'm glad to have found it. And, I think I guess what I'm just speaking to is the frustration of what we've been taught and conditioned to, that the medical professionals are of the highest order of, Hippocratic oath and should be respected. And then COVID crushed all that with all their bullshit lies. And now here we are with as simple as kidney stone, where I now distrust doctors and I have 2 surgeons in my family. Like, it's a strange conundrum to be in. I'm glad I'm feeling better. I hope Maurice does, but I can understand that frustration of, I'm trying to tell you what's wrong with me and you're just fucking blowing me off. That's a problem. That's a problem. Doctor needs his ass kicked once in a while, I guess is what it comes down to. Keep him on the straight and narrow. Last closer, definitely not a great story that we like to cover, but we got to cover it. It's the Monday Locker Room, and we read the sheets and what it is. And I was a sidebar part of this is where it stooged off to the Horseman chat, and GGP had sent it a link from Hannibal that was just audible Hannibal TV, controversial figure in his own right with plenty of misgivings, but very close to Billy Jack Haynes. Instead, they talked almost every day on text. and it gives clarity to this situation, but a little bit more in my mind. But former WWE star Billy Jack Haynes reportedly arrested and expected to be charged with the murder of his wife. According to Coin.com, an arrest was made in Portland, Oregon after a woman was found dead in a fatal shooting. The name of the suspect was not given in the article, but the neighbor stated that the man was a former pro wrestler. He was telling me all kinds of stories about old wrestling, and I told him how I used to go watch him. I decided to go for a walk and saw the cops down by my house, and then I noticed the blocks taped off, and I just came down here. It was later confirmed that the wrestler was former WWE star Billy Jack Haynes. The suspect in Thursday's Lentz neighborhood homicide identified as William Albert Haynes, Jr., 70, of Portland. Haynes is Jeanette Beecraft's husband. He's in police custody at a local hospital where he's being treated for a medical condition unrelated to the homicide or in contact with law enforcement. Once he's released from the hospital, which may be days from now, he's expected to be booked into jail. Haynes' charges will be released once he's booked. Very, very sad and strange. And in Hannibal's recounts, where he says, and this is the weird thing, because he's putting this stuff out there for YouTube views, and he's probably getting them, but I think Hannibal's got his own issues with the law, and I would have used what he stooges off for simple YouTube revenue as my get out of jail out of my fucking issues. So a strange thing by that, but he puts clarity that the wife was very advanced dementia ridden, and that Billy Jack Haynes also has a fair amount of dementia, and that recently they had bought a small pet. I can't remember what it was, like a groundhog hedgehog, and even named it after this lady's lost son. I guess Todd, and they named it the Toddster. And then they overfed it and it passed away. And that triggered a whole nother wave of emotions of advanced depression, I'm sure extreme emotions, and especially when you're dementia ridden and trying to hold on. And I feel like this Billy Jack Haynes thing, this is just me hypothetical, may in his mind, which is also dementia ridden, and possibly MK Ultra, not possibly, almost definitely, and CTE, that this may have been a mercy killing in his mind, as distorted as that is, so that's kind of what's laid out in the Hannibal stuff. But he's got all these texts back and forth, even including the day of the murder, that that kind of paint a picture of what I, in my mind, laid out of why this might have happened, as opposed to, killing a 80-something-year-old woman isn't a crime of passion, I don't believe, or argument, but who knows? And I'm not sure if he self-inflicted some wound on himself. I saw a picture of him being walked out of the house, so he wasn't really stretchered out or anything. So that could be the dementia of his own and being under observation there. That being said, Billy Jack Haynes not immune to being a controversial figure in the conspiracy horseman world, going back to the cocaine Clinton Illuminati days, of him being a possible CIA hitman and killing, or being witness to having 2 boys killed on the train tracks by feds that were transporting cocaine directly from Colombia before Bill Clinton was president. So the ability to kill may be switched on and off, and he may be a fucked up experiment from way back then, and they just put him out to pasture, and who knows what's going to set that person off. The text and the way he would text back and forth with Hannibal seems strange in when Hannibal reads them out. So it's obviously a tragic situation, mixed in with a lot of mental illness or forced trauma-based mind control, possibly. But obviously it's in the wrestling universe of needing to be covered. Unfortunately, I'm surprised. If I was in hot water, the worker move for me would not be to get $1,000 from YouTube revenue off of it. It would be to go to the fucking cops who are about to put me away possibly for 2 to 3 years and be like, hey, dude, I can help you with this. And, you know, it's not like he's selling Billy Jack Haynes. Now, you might actually be helping Billy Jack Haynes by doing that, by showing them that. So they're not just getting it free off of YouTube, and to show that this guy doesn't need to go to jail. He needs to go to a mental facility for the rest of his days. You know what I mean? That he might not have known what the reality was and the gravity of what was doing, or he might have known and it might have been coming from a place of like, I can't stand to get up and see this person suffer anymore during the day. And, you know, that goes to the whole, obviously it'll still be a homicide, manslaughter charge to some degree, but then you're going into, should there be a Dr. Kevorkian nitrogen chamber that you could put somebody into and if they wanted to peacefully end their life, you know what I mean? If they signed off on that in the future, that'll be an interesting way society moves, I think, in the future, man. But rough stuff, man, all the way around. So whether it's firing, sexual innuendo, the satanic demonic ritualism, or murder one, it's just another week in the road to WrestleMania. Point at the sign, everybody, you know. So, hey, aliens, if you're out there, we could definitely use you now more than ever to wipe away all the ridiculousness that we put out there to entertain ourselves so we can all come together as one world and have a good time. So we'll see whether they tear down Sleepy Joe this week, or if the piss tapes drop, or whatever is coming next to go against your favorite WWE superstar or staff member. I got a feeling it's going to be a wet spring when it comes to the week before WrestleMania. You're going to see some very interesting things. I don't have any inside info. I just feel that when the major players are holding cards close to the chest, somebody's going to play one, and it's to tear because they didn't meet a deadline or a threat level midnight or something along those lines, where somebody doesn't get paid off or get what they want. They're going to press the nuclear button on something. And I think WrestleMania is going to have a even worse PR problem than they got now hanging over it. I think the local news at night will be, it's WrestleMania weekend in Philly and 100,000 fans have converged, but the main story with WWE is the new video that dropped of yada, 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 yada. So be a goddamn interesting spring, but you guys will be here at channelattitude.com, Ben Hameen YouTube channel, twitch.tv/Hameen Media, and Russo brand as well. Master Shoot Theater, always going to be interesting as these fucking things continue to roll out. But yeah, you can hit the like button if you want. I appreciate that, Jay Hal. I'm just going to turn it unlisted because it's for the subscribers, but I always try and go live when I can to get the community together, and love seeing it all in the chat, you guys. So support us all and support all the associates from Cafe de Rene to K100 to Rip Rogers podcast, and everybody else in between who's reporting the real deal that you're not going to get from Hollywood or sapsuckers or House of Anything, because we're the ones who do it. We're the ones inside the locker room talking about it, and we're the ones kayfabe who've seen it, and you guys can be too. Here, channelattitude.com. Y'all.
If you need even further clarification, let The Rock tell you in Chinese.
Oh my.
Chinese?
金榜叮当，his don't